When it comes to losing weight, a lot of people think the formula is just exercise plus diet would equal to a few pounds off of your body. If only it was that simple. The actual formula maybe looks something like this. But don't worry, we really just need to focus on the 20% to get 80% of the results. And by the end of this video, you have everything you'll need to know about weight loss, so we can finally lose those love handles and achieve that summer body you've always dreamed of. While diet and exercising and some other little factors are important in weight loss, there's actually another big factor that no one really talks about that's going to determine whether or not you'll actually lose the weight. And I will be explaining this after we cover diet and exercise near the end of the video, because we have to go through the basics first. First about losing weight is to look yourself in the mirror and realize that you've got some huge love handles, or you're just unhappy about the way you look. Without this step, you have no reason to lose weight at all. The second step is to have a goal that you can track and measure. For example, you can write down on a piece of paper, I'm gonna lose 5 pounds by the end of August. Then I'm gonna lose another 5 pounds by the end of September. Take this on your wall to keep yourself accountable. And remember, it's important to set these short-term monthly goals, because when you get those each small win, it will help you keep motivated. The third step is having a plan to follow through and stick to it. For example, every morning when you wake up, instead of doom scrolling on TikTok for an hour, try going for a run for 10 minutes. Instead of eating a bowl of Reese's Puffs, replace that with a bowl of oatmeal. Your plan doesn't have to be over the top like you're planning for a bank heist. Just start doing small healthy habits step by step and little by little. The fourth step is to track your progress. Taking progress pictures and weighing yourself can help you see if you're moving towards your goal or not. However, weighing yourself every day is not accurate, since our weight can fluctuate a lot based on water weight and what we eat. Matter of fact, your weight can change between 4 to 7 pounds each day, which can freak you out into thinking that you've gained an extra 4 pounds of fat, but in reality, it's just water weight. I recommend weighing yourself at the same time every day and taking your average weight of the week to track your progress. I hope you've already passed 6th grade and can do simple math to figure this step out. Fifth step is to know that you're going to have craving and your journey will not be linear. Some days, you're going to accidentally eat the cheesecake, the burger, and the chips. You need to mentally prepare for these situations. Know that the craving is only a temporary feeling, and try your best not to give in, and practice saying no to these temptations. The sixth step is to do these things until it becomes a habit. You do it so much, it eventually becomes a part of your lifestyle and your identity. You start enjoying exercising and eating healthy. That is the ultimate goal. You'll be that person who says, I just love to eat hard-boiled eggs. But then everyone would think that you're some gym rat or just love Eddie Abu. Now, let's move on to the more important part of weight loss. A lot of people think that when it comes to weight loss, diet and exercise is 50-50. But in reality, your diet probably makes up the 80% and exercise is like 20%. Let me show you why. In order to burn 500 calories, there are several ways you can do it. 1, you can run for 45 minutes straight without stopping. 2, you can jump rope for 42 minutes straight. Or you can choose gun for 45 hours non-stop. If you tried any of these before, you'll know how much effort it takes to burn 500 calories. So let's say that you ran for 45 minutes straight, and after burning 500 calories, you might accidentally trip into a grocery store and accidentally bought a large Snickers bar. Then you say to yourself, I deserve a little treat after all of that hard work. You eat the bar in 10 seconds, but when you look at the nutrition label, it has 488 calories. You just basically undid 45 minutes of running in a matter of 10 seconds. You see how easy it is to consume calories than burning it? So it is very important that we focus more on our diet. Now, let's go over the basics of dieting. You've probably heard this formula a million times by now. Calories in and calories out. In order to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. You need to eat less calories than you spend. For example, say your maintenance calories is 2,000. If you eat 2,000 calories each day, you won't gain or lose weight. So to lose weight, you have to eat below 2,000 calories. There are different ways you can do this. The first one is losing weight slowly by eating 300 to 500 less calories. You should lose around 1 pound of fat per week, but as you start losing the weight, your body will soon adapt and will burn less calories. So you might have to decrease your calories more later on. The second one is where you say screw it, go big or go home. And I like to call it starve maxing, where you eat 800 to 1,000 less calories. This will give you a faster results, but it may not be sustainable in the long run. Plus, you might lose some muscle, you feel more tired, and you feel even more hungry day to day. And your hormones might get messed up because you're not getting enough nutrients. People under the age of 18 should be really careful with this, since your body is still developing. Now, to figure out your maintenance calories, you can go online and search for a calorie calculator. But remember, this is only a rough estimate and may not be accurate because each person is different and there are other factors that make up each person's maintenance calories. So to get the most accurate number, you have to experiment with the number that the calorie calculator gives you. First, Eat the number a calorie calculator set. If weight goes up in a week, decrease your calories by 100. And if you lose weight, try increase your calories by 100 until you eventually stop losing or gaining weight. Now, all of this sounds easy in practice, and you could get away with eating junk food as long as you're in a calorie deficit, but it is generally not recommended since eating junk food just brings all kinds of health problems. Also, your stomach will be crying all day if all you ate was Snickers bars. And if your deficit is at 1,700 calories, eating 4 of them will already put you over 1,700. Having to eat less food might seem like the end of the world for some of you, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can still eat the same amount of food if only you pick the right foods to eat. For example, remember that Snickers bar that has 488 calories? If you replace that with strawberries, you would roughly have to eat around 122, which would fill your stomach up like a balloon. Tracking calories can be really time consuming if you're tracking every single ingredient, including that toothpaste you use in the morning. But if you never tracked calories before, I recommend you track calories for the first 1 to 3 months just to have a general understanding of how many calories are in different foods. Soon, you can stop tracking calories and just roughly estimate, but keep in mind that we tend to usually underestimate the calories that we think it is. If you think it's 500 calories, then it's probably 700. If you think it's 200, then it's probably 300. If you think it has no calories, then it's probably 50. It's also important to know which macronutrients you should prioritize. You want to prioritize eating more protein since it is highly satiating and keeps you fuller for longer. Also, the body burns more calories in order to digest protein, which is another reason why you should eat more of it. Aim for around 0.75 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. But if you want to build muscle or maintain muscle, 100 grams of protein per day should be enough. If you want to go to the extreme or you got some extra money in your pockets, you can go for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. For guys, if you want your pee-pee to still work, eating healthy fats is important since it regulates your hormone. For fats, aim for 44 grams to 78 grams of fat per day and fill in the rest of the calories with carbs. Okay, here are just some other diet tips that might help you. First, we have volume eating. This is switching from high calorie foods to low calorie foods. This will make you feel full for longer and you have less chance of overeating. A good example is why I compare 1 Snickers bars to 122 strawberries. Replace processed foods like white bread, candy, cereal, pasta, cookies, cake, and with whole foods such as potatoes, fruits, meat, and fish. Whole foods are rich in micronutrients that your body needs, making you feel fuller and more satisfied compared to processed foods, which have little to no micronutrients. A good rule of thumb is to eat mostly food that are made from one ingredient. When you go to the grocery store and when you look at the back of the cereal box, it is made with like 50 different ingredients. But if you pick up a potato, it's just made from potato, so choose the potato. You can also try intermittent fasting where you don't eat for a certain period of time of the day. A popular one is called 16 and 8, where you fast for 16 hours and you get your daily meals within 8 hours. People usually just skip breakfast for intermittent fasting, which helps meet their caloric deficit. Next, some people call it the warrior diet or OMAD, where you eat 1 big meal a day. This is a little harder, but it's way more effective. You'll be more hungry throughout the day and it's harder to sustain for the first few months. But usually after those few months, your body will adapt and you won't get those crazy hunger cravings anymore. Next, drink more water and always have a big bottle of water beside you. Most of the time when we're hungry, we're usually just thirsty. Our brain has a really difficult time telling the difference between hunger and thirst. So every time you think you're hungry, try chugging a huge glass of water and you'll realize that you're not hungry anymore. Try using a smaller plate to look like you're eating more food. Eat slower. It takes around 20 minutes for your brain to realize that you're full. Avoid liquid calories because they're the easiest to overconsume. Instead, you can try diet drinks and sodas if you want to combat your sweet tooth. If you can't give up certain foods, there are a lot more low-calorie alternatives you can choose from. Now, let's move on to exercise. Looking at this chart, it shows where all of our calories we consume go to. Here, 70% goes to your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, which is the calories burned when you're doing nothing and just used for existing. 10% goes to the thermic effect of food, which is the energy needed to digest the food that we eat. And only 20% goes into physical activity, like walking, cleaning, mowing the lawn, and cooking. This shows that exercise does not really make a big part of your daily energy expenditure and can really just be used as a tool to weight loss, but not the main factor. Unless you're like a triathlete, maybe your chart would look something like this. Anyways, here are some exercises you can consider. First, you can try weightlifting. Building muscle can help you improve your metabolism and increase your BMR, which means that you get to burn more calories when you're doing nothing. It can also look better so you can get more girls, or guys if you're female. Cardio like running can also help burn more calories, and it burns way more than weightlifting. On the downside, it does not build muscle. If you're not David Goggins and can't be bothered to run 20 miles a day, you can try high intensity interval training. There are tons of videos on YouTube where you can follow through a workout. Next, walk more. It's like a cheat code. 10,000 steps a day is a good goal, and it feels effortless to walk, and it burns around 300 calories. But the downside is that it just takes a chunk of time out of your day. Next, move more. You don't realize this, but if you move throughout your day instead of sitting in front of a computer playing League of Legends, since physical activity accounts for 20% of the calories that we burn, you can burn way more calories than you think. Throughout your day, just move. You can go cook, mow the lawn, clean the house, go fidget, go out with your friends, and touch some grass. Also, you have to get good sleep. Sleep regulates your hormones, and hormones can play a big role in your weight loss journey. You can have the best weight loss hacks, the best programs, and the best strategies, but if you don't have this thing that I'm going to tell you, you won't be successful in losing weight. It is your mindset, and there are 4 specific mindsets I want yourself to get into. First of all, weight loss shouldn't be something where you go on a diet for 3 months and bounce right back to the McDonald's drive-thru every morning. Most people, when they go on a super strict diet and lose 20 pounds in 3 months, they tend to bounce right back because eating 1,000 calories a day is not realistic. A toddler needs 1,200 calories. Instead, you need to have the long-term mindset. See it as a lifestyle change. Diet and exercise like you're going to do it for the rest of your life. Plus, the more time we spend trying to achieve something, the more we value the achievement at the end, and you will feel so much better. Also, it will be easier to maintain your body if diet and exercising is already a part of your lifestyle. Next, there are days where you don't feel like exercising and you just want to down a whole bucket of Ben & Jerry's. So it's super important that you have discipline. You can't rely on watching a motivational TikTok at 3 a.m. to realize you need to get your life together. Every time you feel like quitting, just quickly visualize your dream body. Visualize how you feel after achieving it. Visualization can be a really powerful tool. Next, when we want to lose weight, usually we are super focused on the end goal and we don't appreciate and be grateful for the little progress that we make. You want to enjoy the process as much as possible, so it's easier for you to stick to it. Take time to be grateful in each stage of the transformation, and every time you see yourself progress, this will give you extra motivation to continue. Even if you feel out of shape right now, do not hate yourself for it. Be grateful that you have the body and the ability to change the way you look. Don't let these negative emotions take over and ruin your enjoyment of the journey, because you ultimately want to enjoy the process, and that's how you can succeed in the long run. Most importantly, when we start trying to lose weight, we see ourselves as someone who's out of shape and lazy. When we identify ourselves this way, we would subconsciously do bad habits to reinforce this identity, such as skipping the exercise or eating the junk food. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's just how our brains work. Instead, imagine your ideal healthy future self. What would he or she do? What are his or her habits? Strive to be that ideal person and act like them. If you identify yourself as someone who's healthy and fit, you'll naturally start doing things that a healthy person would do. Do not overlook the power of self-identity in your weight loss journey. Now, with all of this knowledge that I shared with you, I know that you're ready to change, ready to take action, and finally achieve your weight loss goals, and finally look sexy at the beach. Anyways, I hope that this video has helped. Subscribe if you learned something new.